So last week I did a video about a YouTube channel called English for Everyone, and basically this channel teaches people about English, and they have for years, but over the last year and a half or so they've really started to talk about other YouTube channels that have a lot of English mistakes while supposedly teaching English. And while I question English for Everyone's intent for creating this channel, and I stick by that criticism, I still do, I do think that they're providing a service that helps, because a lot of these channels like LinguaMarina and others, they say, speak perfect English, say, take my course, watch my channel, you will speak like a native too. And they do make a lot of mistakes. So even though I question and I criticize the intent or the reason why they made this channel, I think the service they provide is really good. Now, that doesn't mean that they don't have errors themselves. I watched a video of theirs the other day about gerunds, and I found 4 errors in the first 2 minutes and 30 seconds, or 2 minutes and 50 seconds. I don't remember, but there were errors, which goes to say that in learning English and actually consuming all of the information about English and actually trying to decipher all of the little differences and nuances in the English language, we're going to make mistakes. Teachers make mistakes, other people make mistakes, and we're going to be talking about those mistakes today. And I did talk about the difference between an error and a mistake, and if you watch my video about English for Everyone, you will see the differences between those two. But today, we are going to be looking at LinguaMarina. We're not going to be talking about English for Everyone. We are going to be looking at LinguaMarina because she made a response video to English for Everyone. And we're going to watch that video together. We're going to decode it. We're going to look and see all of the little parts of it and see where she is telling the truth and where maybe she's lying a little bit. And yeah, we're going to really critique this thing. This one's going to get a little heated, I think. So go ahead and buckle up, get ready, because we're going to start going into our first LinguaMarina video because, hate to say this, it's probably going to be something that we do quite a bit. All right, so let's go ahead and go to the video, and let's look at LinguaMarina's rebuttal to the English for Everyone series of videos about all of her errors and mistakes. Okay, so at the beginning of the video, she has this little skit that she does of this like really mean English teacher, and I'm not going to get into that, but just so you know, she has like this little, skit at the beginning where she has this angry or mean English teacher, and she's actually talking about that character that she has at the beginning of this. So if you're wondering about who is this teacher that she is talking about, this is who that teacher is. So let's go ahead and watch the video and delve into it.
But also, I really hope that you never get a teacher like her, because she's so discouraging and so full of herself that the whole process of learning a new language becomes really daunting and not as exciting as it was supposed to be.
But okay, let's start off right here. But the point of learning a language is to learn it correctly. It isn't for entertainment purposes. Now, it might be. You might do it to entertain yourself or learn more about entertainment. But, if I'm going to entertain myself, I'll grab myself a pack of Twizzlers, go to the movie, and watch the latest flick, right? That's what I'll do. Instead, she's saying it should be exciting. But it should also be correct. Now, I have a lot of students, and I correct their errors. Now, we have fun. We have a laugh. We talk about things that they like. We really enjoy our conversations. Hence the reason why I have over 20 lessons per student of the students I have taught over the years, because they enjoy coming to me. But they're also paying for me to correct their errors. They're also paying so that when they do make a mistake, I point out that mistake and explain why that is a mistake. So yes, it can be fun. It can be exciting. It can be thrilling, but it also should be educational. And this is where Marina misses the boat entirely.
Is this amazing language that is spoken by so many people. More non-native speakers speak English and there are native speakers. So there are different ways you can speak English. You can speak English with American accent. You can speak English with British accent. You can speak English with Indian accent.
Now, in this particular video, she makes a number of grammatical mistakes. Now, I'm not going to talk about those in this video. I might talk about them in another video But this is not the video. This is not the time for that. We're talking more about the content of this video, not necessarily the mistakes, because she does make a few mistakes that I think I'm going to point out in the separate video.
You can have different words for a particular object. It's just so amazing how diverse the language is. And the thing is, a lot of people speak English with mistakes. A lot of native speakers make mistakes. A lot of English teachers also make mistakes, and it's okay because this is how the language works. Let's take...
Wait, okay. Now we're probably going to go into this a little bit further. She has made her whole entire channel, the entire thing, you know, don't make this mistake, don't make that mistake. Like all of her videos are about don't make this, don't do that. Sound like a native English speaker. Say it exactly like I say it, or you're going to sound wrong. You're going to sound bad. Don't do all these things. And if you do this mistake, you'll sound like a child or something. And now she's saying, oh no, make the mistakes. She's all of a sudden telling people that it's good to make mistakes, though the whole premise of her channel is don't make mistakes. So which one is it? You got two piles of shit here, Marina. Okay, go ahead and figure out which one is the one that weighs the most, and I guess go with it, because you can't have it both ways. You can't sit there and say that you can make all these mistakes, but then all your videos are totally about not making mistakes. It's a contradiction of what you're saying now and what your channel is based on. Pure and simple.
Me, for example. I've started learning English when I was 4, but I
Grammatical error. We'll get into that later.
spent 25 years in Russia. Russian is the language that I use to talk to my parents, my husband, my kids, 70% of my team. So most of my life happened and is still happening in Russian. And there is one thing about the Russian language. We do not use articles. And I've been omitting them my whole life. This is king bed, and it's called Kumon, Japanese system. There is Indian accent, there is Chinese accent. Second website that I wanted to recommend is, it is a research project by University of Cambridge. I remember when I came to...
Now, the weird thing about those clips is, like, all of those clips that I could see, she's like sitting in the exact same place, wearing the exact same outfit. Did she like specifically make those errors to plug them in to this video? Because she didn't take these from other videos and plug them in that I see. If somebody can show me the videos where she did make these mistakes, please go ahead and let me know. But the fact that she's wearing the same outfit the whole entire time makes me think that she actually made those clips specifically for this video so that she can kind of, you know, go after herself a little bit. Well, let's keep going.
To the UK at the age of 16. I really asked my friend to point out mistakes.
Another grammatical mistake, or actually kind of a vocabulary grammatical mistake. That'll be another video.
That I was making, because this is the way you improve. But he was like, no, Marina, I don't want to discourage you. Your English is perfect. But I was like, come on, give me that mistake. Talk about that one mistake that I keep making. Talk about the one that stands out for you. And he said, you do not use articles. You never use a, you never use the. And I know that. But
okay, Marina, here's the point. The videos on English for Everyone they're not all articles. They critique you on pronunciation, use of grammar, and a whole slew of other things they critique you on. And you're trying to make it that the only mistake you make is not putting articles into what you say. You have a lot more mistakes. You have a lot more errors, but you're trying to make it that, oh no, the only error that I make, articles. That's it. Everything else I say is perfect. The only thing that I make a mistake is with articles. This shows that you cannot self-reflect. This shows that you can't look at yourself and actually say, hey, I make this mistake, this mistake, this mistake. But you need to do that. But I think what we got here is we really have a situation of someone trying to put the shit back in the horse.
Yes. Can we get the shit back into the horse?
And when we have somebody like that, means that somebody has called them out. Somebody has called them out and said, hey, you're making a lot of mistakes. But she, just by looking at this video alone, only talking about articles so far, and just, I've seen the video already. This is the only one that she really points out. She doesn't really point out any of the other mistakes she has. It means that she's very short-sighted when it comes to her own shortcomings when it comes to English language. Now, I didn't say this at the beginning, but let me go ahead and say it now. She does speak English quite well. She is very much, I would say, a high C1, low C2 speaker. I wouldn't say she's a high C2 speaker. As a matter of fact, I'm going to give you someone in another video who I do think is a high C2 speaker and actually has a strong Russian accent when he speaks. I don't see in any of her videos that she knows the English language beyond knowing it quite well. I don't know how well she feels the language. I don't know how well she can use idioms, similes, certain metaphors within the context of American culture. And that's what will really make you that C2 level, that high C2 level, near native level. So let's keep on watching.
There's this thing with all the language learners, and comment down below if you have this thing. You know the right way. You've learned all the rules, but then when you're speaking a language, you still make those mistakes. And it's actually fine.
So two things I want to mention here. So in the first video I did, I talked about the difference between making mistakes and making errors. So go ahead and look at the English for Everyone video so you can see how I discern the two and how I can really tell if something is an error and something is a mistake. So the second thing is she's right. These are okay. Making a mistake in a language is okay. But again, this whole thing about her whole channel is based on don't make a mistake, don't make a mistake, don't say this wrong, sound like a native English speaker. Yet she sits there and now says, oh, making mistakes are okay. Again, which pile is it? Which pile is it? Let's make your mind up.
Because you know what you're doing? You're using your language in a conversation, which means you're not focused on thinking about every single word. Because if you do that, if you focus on not making any mistakes, then you won't be able to speak English. And this is the problem that so many students out there have, because they might have had a teacher who was pointing out their mistakes over and over again.
Okay, so that's a teacher's job. Now, doing it every time maybe is overkill for a teacher. When I do it, I have students make a lot of mistakes, but I go ahead and point out when certain mistakes happen, because you do need to do these in an order so that you aren't just constantly doing this. Now, in the case of articles, if let's say the focus of my lesson for that day is to really hammer home the idea that you need to use articles, well, in those situations, I will stop a student every time. And the only reason why I do that is not to discourage them, but to see how often they're omitting the article, and in hopes of them now starting to think, oh, okay, this is where I need to put one, because he keeps on telling me I'm making a mistake. So it depends on what it is. But the second thing is, whether it's discouraging or not, yeah, you don't want a bad teacher. You don't want a teacher that's going to treat you like shit. You just don't want that. But she is a YouTuber. She is an entertainer. She is not a teacher. And she's coming to this from the point of view of being an entertainer, not somebody who is taught. I don't know how much she has taught. I don't know if she's sat in front of a classroom and taught. My guess is I've probably actually taught more classes in Russia than this Russian speaker has taught in Russia. I don't know, because I used to teach in Russia. So, yeah, just remember that. She is a YouTuber. She is not a teacher.
Was focused on mistakes in a really toxic way. But I want to tell you one thing. I've spent 6 years in the US among native speakers, and there were really just a few times where my English was really tested. Yesterday, I took my citizenship test to become a US citizen. And
what does this have to do with anything? Like, what's this have?
They tested my English just by asking me things and asking me to write down a sentence. And I was allowed to make mistakes, by the way. It's okay if you want to become an American citizen and you make mistakes in English. Then of course you're...
Okay, but she's totally missing the point. She's talking about making these mistakes. The whole point, the whole reason why people like myself and others are just ticked off at her is that she is selling programs. She's selling courses. She's selling people on things that make people think that they're going to sound like a native English speaker. And saying, don't make this mistake. Don't make this mistake. I know this is a point that I keep on bringing up, but it is a point that needs to be hammered home, because this is the problem with her channel. This is the absolute problem with her channel, is that she is just saying, oh yeah, I make some mistakes, but she doesn't realize what she's selling, what she's offering to people is this belief that if you take my course, you won't make mistakes. And that's what this video is about.
TOEFL, IELTS, or GMAT exam, and the amount of mistakes that you're gonna make will affect your score. And yes, this is legit, right? But your daily life, your professional life is not a test. And my goal here is to encourage you to speak English as much as possible, to make as many mistakes as possible.
But like your whole channel is about, don't make as many mistakes as possible. That if you say this, you're saying it wrong. And the worst part about her channel too is when she says you say something correctly, no, say it using this other word, use a synonym instead. And many times, and we're going to talk about these in the critique videos I'm going to do of hers, many times those synonyms within the context she's talking about are incorrect. Like a lot of them. I mean, like really a lot of them. So, yeah, so she again, putting the shit back in the horse. That's what she's doing. Somebody's called her out on her actual mistakes, not articles, but all the mistakes, all the grammatical, all the pronunciation, all of the mistakes. A lot of people are calling her out on it, and she is just absolutely not self-aware of what the critiques are. She absolutely has no idea, or she does have an idea, which then makes it worse, then makes it kind of seem a little bit more scammy.
Because this is the only way for you to become fluent in English. There has been some criticism of my English language on YouTube.
And she acts like she's surprised. Of mine? Yes, of yours, absolutely. I was going to do this channel like 3 years ago, critiquing all the mistakes you made. Okay, so yeah, it's there.
YouTube, and I know some of you guys asked this question, and you know, when I look up to someone, when I consume somebody's content on YouTube, I really want them to be transparent. Life, whether it's professional, private, and when something major happens, I really want to hear their thoughts, and I really want to be transparent with you guys. When somebody points out my mistakes and also, you know, calls me a fraud or whatever, of course, my first reaction would be, you know, I'm angry, I want to shut down, I don't want to talk to anyone because I'm disappointed, because, you know, I've spent...
Okay, show me how they're wrong. Obviously, you're because the title of this video is English really for everyone? So you are targeting this video towards English for everyone, okay? You are targeting it towards that channel, okay? Show me where they're wrong. All the critiques, all the criticisms, all the times that they went ahead and questioned your English ability, show me a video where they said that you were wrong, but actually you weren't. You were actually right. Show me one video, just one. Give me one example. You're telling me that this channel you're making me try to question this channel or whatever, but on the other hand, you cannot give me any examples. None, zero, where English for everyone is wrong when it comes to your content. Not one. If you actually showed me some of those videos where they say, oh, English for everyone said this, I said this, but here's the reason why they're actually wrong and I'm right, or I'm right. You have none of that in this video. You're going after them, you're talking about them, but you cannot give me one example of them being wrong. It calls you out. It really calls you out.
Spent 28 years learning a language, 6 years in the US using English every day. I took TOEFL twice. I took part in all of the competitions and I still make mistakes.
But I just need to see if this is...
TOEFL twice. I took part in all of the
Okay, it's I took part. So I'm putting the closed caption on her video on here. So that you can see, and it says, I took fire. Now, to take fire is actually something that in advanced English you can learn. To take fire is to receive a lot of criticism sometimes. So you could say, yeah, I took a lot of fire regarding my report. So we actually can say that. It'd be like, I took a lot of criticism. And the whole idea is being in front of a firing squad. That's kind of where it comes from. Well, actually, that is where it comes from. But when I say I took fire, I'm just thinking of Phil Hartman right away. He's like, fire bad.
Fire bad!
That's just what sticks in my mind.
Competitions and I still make mistakes. And like, I asked myself what my next step should be. And I have this person who's my mental health coach, and she told me this amazing thing, and I really want you to remember this thing, because the whole point of this video is to show you once again that mistakes are okay, show you thing number 2, and this is my takeaway from my coaching session. When you don't know what to do, like maybe you've been learning English for 10 years or 15 years and you're stuck, you can't speak it, you can't use it, and you're like, should I stop? At this moment of time, you need to think about your brightest moments in your professional or personal life, whatever you're
What
learning
does
English
this-
for. What did you feel in those moments, and what kind of feeling led you to those moments?
What does this have to do about anything? Like, seriously, what's this about? I mean, so you mentioned English for Everyone, like, for 3 seconds, or alluded to them, let's say, and now you're into life coaches. Well, now you're into life coaches, and how is this about your channel? How is this about your channel not being shit? Come on, give me more, LinguaMarina. Give me a little bit more.
And when I was doing this coaching session, I was talking to this coach and I was like, my brightest moments were when I was hosting EduCon in New York this year, when I was on the cover of Glamour Bulgaria magazine, when I was on a...
What the fuck does this have to do with anything? I mean, like, seriously, why? Okay, yes, being on the cover. Whenever I think of learning English, I think of being on the cover of Glamour magazine in Bulgaria. That's like the first thing that comes to my mind. Not, transitive or intransitive verbs. It's that damn, glamour. Wow. It's a total disconnect. She has this total disconnect from why people are criticizing her. Now, maybe she wants to go to her coach to look at this. Does she have this disconnect? Is it a block? Does she not want to accept the criticism? Or is it the criticism is actually there and she just seeks to ignore it and just plow through it? Now, granted, she's been able to do that for years. She's been able to give all of you, hopefully you're not watching her too much, but all of you incorrect English and snow a lot of people into believing that. But at the end of the day, what does this have to do with learning English? Like, what's going on here?
Billboard. And she was like, what were the feelings? I said I was happy. I said I was excited. And the feelings that led me to these events were actually happiness, excitement, desire to talk to people about English, about American culture. And she said,
I'm going to be doing a little bit of talk and maybe some videos. Well, probably maybe quite a few videos about American culture. Never seen her to a baseball game. She probably can't tell you who Tommy Lasorda is.
Hey, you know Tommy Lasorda? I hate Tommy Lasorda.
Now, granted, a lot of younger people might not be able to here in the United States too, but I mean, she talks about culture if you live in Silicon Valley. She's not talking about American culture. She is not talking about American culture in California, especially Los Angeles and San Francisco, way different than, the rest of the country. So I've never seen her go to a baseball game or a football game. I mean, baseball is America's pastime, for Christ's sakes. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to try to go to a baseball game to give you guys an idea of what it's like as well. But she doesn't do anything with American culture. Like nothing. Yeah, so, I mean, again, unless you live in the Bay Area. If you live in the Bay Area, then yeah, you'll know what culture is like within that few 100 square mile area of the Bay Area in California. But if you go to any other place in the United States, the culture advice that she's giving you, it's not really going to be helpful, is it?
Marina, these are the feelings that are giving you your best life. that are leading you to your best life. Feelings like anger, sadness, being mad, it's all okay. But do not make any decisions or any actions that are based on those feelings. Take a break, get back to yourself, and act out of the feelings that drive you.
Take a break, get a hold of yourself, and continue to give people wrong content and charging them money for it.
This is what I did. This is what I'm doing. I am here for you with my imperfect English, with my mistakes, and my huge enthusiasm.
She is totally putting the shit back in the horse this whole entire video. She is totally trying to do it. She is trying to save face. Unbelievable, because this whole entire video, she has been saying, I make mistakes, I make mistakes, I make mistakes. Her whole entire channel is about don't make mistakes, don't make mistakes. Again, which pile, Marina? Which pile? Come on.
To inspire you to learn a language and to use it as your instrument and improve your daily life, succeed in your career, and become whoever you want to become. And thing number 3 that I wanted to focus on in this video, I wanted to address non-native speaking teachers. Again, I learned most of my English back in Russia. All of my teachers were Russian speakers. Did they make mistakes? Of course they did. Did that have any effect on how inspiring they were? Not at all. And there is this lady on YouTube, her name is Hadar, and she's an English language teacher, and she made a video to support me, and there was one of the...
We're gonna get into that video because, you know, there's a lot to unpack in that video. So, yeah, you're buckling up for this one. You might want to get a full-on harness for that one because it's gonna be pretty intense.
The comments from a non-native speaking teacher who said she got bad feelings after watching those videos criticizing my mistakes. So for all of you non-native speaking teachers.
First of all, I do encourage non-native speakers to actually be teachers. As a matter of fact, when I got my teaching certificate, the CELTA, I had a number of non-native English speakers. I took it in Montreal, so I had a French-Canadian fellow student. I had someone from Brazil, somebody from Italy, and they did a great job teaching. They also knew the language because in order for you to get into the CELTA program, you actually need to be approved by the school. You can't just give them money and then you sign up and go. You actually have to show that you have some knowledge or some ability to teach English. So in this situation, I absolutely agree. And it's a shame that people who feel discouraged by what people are saying against LinguaMarina, that they as a non-native teacher, non-native speaking teacher, feel that it's discouraging. It shouldn't be. As a matter of fact, it should be a wake-up call. It should be that you see where the criticism is. Take the things that English for Everyone is talking about. Take what they're saying. Learn from the mistakes that they're pointing out and make yourself a better teacher. I strongly encourage people who are non-native speakers to teach English because they're going to have an insight into English I don't know. Now, I can explain the rules, I can explain how things work, but I can't explain if, let's say, I am a German speaker, to make this transition from German to English and to make the equivalent connections to understand what the language is. So non-native English speaking teachers, go for it. Be a teacher. Be the best teacher you can. But also take that criticism. I take it, and that's just going to make you stronger. That's just going to make your resolve even more. That's what's going to make you a better teacher. Because remember, no matter what you're doing in life, whether it is an English teacher or working in politics as I had for 30 years before I started teaching, or anything else, remember that it's always a learning process. And every day with English, I do learn something that I didn't necessarily know before. Do I know everything about all the aspects of grammar in English? No, but I'm willing to learn. And there's a difference between taking the criticism, learning from it, expanding your mind, and building on from there, or getting the criticism and crawling up in a ball and not trying to learn from that experience. That's what makes a good teacher. I strongly encourage people who are non-native speakers to teach and to get good qualifications like a CELTA.
You are inspiring and teaching millions of students who are going to change their lives thanks to English. And I want you to continue that journey. It happens all the time in our lives when, we get negative comments, when we get criticism. I think it's really important to focus on what really drives you. And as a student who spent over 15 years learning,
I mean, it's good that she says that, but again, she's not doing it in her video. Learn from those mistakes. Don't sit there and crawl up in a ball and get angry, and learn from those mistakes. LinguaMarina could actually learn a little bit from that. So if you are that teacher, learn. It's an ongoing process. Learning
English with non-native speakers. I would love to thank you for making this your career. And if you need more inspiration to continue learning English, here are a couple of videos of students who watch this channel and who use my videos to improve their language skills.
So now I'm not going to put this on because she has a bunch of children then talk about how her videos are, and I know putting on children on YouTube can be, a sticky subject, but I do want to say that it's pretty honestly pathetic that here you are saying, I'm the victim of all this. Now here are 3 children or 4 children to talk about how great I am, that you're actually using children to garner sympathy for your side. And I just think that's wrong. I just think there's just something in that just doesn't sit well with me. And, you think of it what you want to think of it, but to me, that's kind of trying to use children to garner sympathy for the screw-ups that you have made. However, I have to say, for those children who did make it, it's great that they're learning English. I'm very happy that they are, and their English level is good for the age that they're at. So I'm very happy with that. But at the end of the day, don't try to make this a feel sympathy for me video. Again, like I said earlier, show me where English for Everyone is wrong about your content, and you're gonna make me watch a little more. You don't have one example, not one.
If you want to be featured in one of my videos, and if you want to practice your English in front of a camera, please hit a link in the description box and send me that video. There's a good chance we would.
But if you get no feedback, that's just speaking to a wall. You can speak to a wall and do that and get just the same amount of practice. It's error correction. You need to know if you're making a mistake.
Feature you in my upcoming video.
And you know what? I just thought of this. What if you make a video to LinguaMarina and it's not featured? What does that do if you're an English learner to your confidence? You see other people up there, but then your video isn't up there. Does that hurt your confidence? Does that make you feel bad? Does LinguaMarina become a vehicle of discouraging people to speak English because she obviously has to pick and choose which people she wants to have in her video? That's another thing about this. And this is a problem, is that a lot of people, and I'm going to link a video to this that was done by Lamont, who does a channel called The Days of French and Swedish. And he really talks about a different type of learning method. But one thing he talks about is how somebody makes this promise that you could hit this mark. Then when you don't hit that mark, you don't get to the level that they do, that people feel discouraged because you have falsely led them to believe that they could be at this. And I'll link that down below. But it's a really, really good video that kind of talks about, I would say, the darker side of what people's intentions are as far as learning English. Now, that's pretty much it for the rest of this video. It's just a bunch of self-promotion from this point on. But like, she doesn't say anything. She doesn't address the criticism. She doesn't address anything that English for Everyone says about her. Because you know what? She knows it's right. And she knows that the 50 plus videos that they have made critiquing her English, they're not wrong. They're actually correct. So it's important if you're learning English, and this is important. Don't fall for the snake oil salespeople. Don't fall for the people who are going to say, listen to me, and you are going to speak like a native god of English. No, it is a process. It is a learning process. There is no just simple way to do it. And it's going to be a lot of hard work for learning any language. I know that as someone who has been learning French, I know how that process is. But at the end of the day, you want to find somebody who is going to be truthful to you. That's what's important. You want to find somebody who at the end of the day is going to tell you make a mistake and help you correct it. Has the knowledge, has the know-how, has the understanding of saying, this is a mistake, this is why you're making a mistake, this is how you correct the mistake, and I see why you're making that mistake. Or she's just like, you made a mistake, keep on making the mistake. You don't learn from your mistakes unless you know the way to go. Okay? And she doesn't provide that. Now, that's all for today's video. I am going to be making a lot more videos. I'm going to do the response video to the one that I mentioned in here. But I am also going to be doing a lot of videos about English learning. So not just about the language itself. I will be doing those as well. But about things like this, specifically about learning English. What resources should be in your bookcase? Like here, what should you do when it comes to learning English? Which channels should you watch? Is this one a channel that you should watch, or is this one a channel you should watch? I don't want to just critique the negative. I also want to make sure that I am, giving good words to the positives. There are other English language channels that I have seen that I think are extremely productive and extremely helpful to students. And I want to make sure that I give those the due credit that they deserve. But LinguaMarina, no. It's about one of the worst English channels that you can have. But you know what? She's on the cover of Glamour magazine in Bulgaria, so therefore, I guess she is a English-speaking god. She speaks English well. She just doesn't teach English well. And that's the moral of the story. So thank you all very much for joining me today on this video. If you want to go ahead and subscribe, go ahead and do that. Press the like button. If you like this, share it with people that you know who watch LinguaMarina and say, hey, listen, she ain't going to be as good as you think she is. And we are going to be doing more videos to talk about the mistakes that she makes. So I want to thank you all very much. If you want to take lessons with me, just go to my website, davesenglish.com, where you can go ahead and sign up for lessons today. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful day wherever you are, and see you next time. Bye-bye.